to this computer. We are live, I believe. Should it tell me something if it's recording?
No, I can.
It's recording.
It's recording.
Yeah, it shows us a little red button that says it's recording.
Okay, great. Well, hi, welcome everybody. Thank you for coming today. I'm Tammy Marinuzzi, and today we're going to have a conversation about cups and our favorite cups. And I'm going to introduce Jill. Hi, Jill. How you doing over there?
Hi, Tammy. How are you?
Good. Jill, would you like to tell, I'm going to have Jill introduce our group. We have a group that meets collectively once a month, and Jill's going to talk a little bit about that group.
Yeah, so we are calling ourselves the BN Collective, which I think I'm going to keep a secret what BN stands for. Should I? No. But we all work with the figure in one way or another, and we all deal with story in one way or another. And we came together actually because we're all connected to Tammy Marinuzzi in one way or another. And she wanted to just bring a group together at Red Lodge Play Center for Artist and by Artist residency. And we had such a good time that we wanted to keep getting together. And our collective does not have a real strong ambitious directive. We're really just coming together to support each other and quietly find our way as we define what this collective is. And I think I can speak for everybody in that it's been a really wonderful thing to help us get through 2020. And even before that, our time at Red Lodge was just really beautiful, and we were grateful for the space, and everybody's grateful to Tammy for inviting us.
Oh, thanks, Jill.
So I think, can we introduce ourselves so we know?
Yeah, I think we should.
Yeah, so I'm Jill Hutton. I'm in Kansas City, Missouri. Magda?
I'm Magda Gushak, and I am in Lakeside, Arizona, northeastern Arizona.
Megan?
I'm Megan Sullivan. I'm in Appleton, Wisconsin.
Keith?
I'm Keith Smith. I'm in Atlanta, Georgia.
And Miss Tammy?
And I'm Tammy Marinuzzi, and I'm in Panama City, Florida.
And Tammy is going to be, as she always is, our fearless leader and be a moderator through our discussion. So here we go.
Yes. Okay, so I just made a list of different questions, and we can, like I was saying before, we can go off of this list, or we can just freeform. So I'm just going to pose my first question, and then we can just talk about that and see where it leads us. Okay. So would anybody like to volunteer to talk about what their favorite cup is and why it's their favorite cup?
I can go.
Okay, great. Thanks, Magda.
So I know you told us we were going to have this conversation I guess a week ago or something. So I've been thinking about this, but it made me realize that my favorite cup kind of changes seasonally. Usually I'm a handle person, and I know that we're going to talk about that later on too. I'm a coffee, tea drinker, and so handles make a lot of sense because you're not holding a scalding cup. So in the summer, I'm definitely a handle person, but despite the fact that it's very summery right now, at the moment, it's pretty cold in Arizona in the early mornings. It's like a high desert region where we live, and this is my front porch, and this is where I spend the most time with my cups in the morning. And so around fall, when it starts, that's fine. When it starts to get really cold, I actually like a cup that doesn't have a handle, because I wrap myself up in this quilt that's behind me, and I hold that cup up to me and keep me warm while I'm drinking my coffee. So my cup is from a former student of mine, and I like it not just for the reason that it doesn't have a handle, but because she grew up here. And the way that she used this atmospheric process just to simply draw the outline of the mountains, she called this her monsoon cup. And usually in a normal year, this is not a normal year, we get some pretty righteous thunderstorms in the summer, and it's one of my favorite seasons. And I love hiking through it, wearing all my rain gear, and the monsoons obliterate the mountains like this. They make them They turn a whole summer day dark like this, and you can hardly see through them. and we hike through like a lot of pine trees. And when I saw this cup, I kind of fell in love with it. And it just really, I don't know, I don't think someone could have made a cup that feels like the area that I live in and the parts of it that I love if they hadn't originated from here. Her name is Jessie Penrod, and I didn't teach her how to throw this well. She went on to University of New Mexico, and she came back, and she actually had an exhibition in our gallery space at the college, and she had, like, it was really cool to see how she had grown as an artist. She went and studied abroad in Japan, and like that experience, I can feel that in this cup because it's so well made. Like, it's light, the walls are really, really well formed, and the shape is just right. So there are a lot of reasons that that I like it, but mostly it's the imagery. I'm like a really narrative person, and I love this area and I love the mountains. I spend a lot of time up there hiking. So I think about that every time I look at this cup. So this was like the first one that came to mind when you were asking us.
Magda, it looks like a charcoal drawing.
It's beautiful, isn't it? This is another reason I'm not an atmospheric firing person. So I have no idea. Like, it looks like she did it in this really simple way. I mean, these are like, appear to be like some kind of iron oxide drawings, but I don't know how she got that great line and the darkness at the rim. And there were 4 of these in the exhibition, all pretty much done the same way. So it's not like a total happy accident. Yeah, it's like, it's something that I can't do. That's another thing that I admire about it.
Yeah, it's gorgeous.
Okay, I just had to figure out how to unmute myself because my pup was barking in the background. So sorry about that, Mark. I tried to put him away again. So we'll see how that works. Hopefully he'll stay upstairs. Anybody want to volunteer to go next? Okay.
Go for it, Keith.
So yeah, I had a tough time picking out a favorite. I drift a lot, so I kind of like, I'll have a coffee cup in the morning, and then I'll have some other cup in the afternoon that's for drinking juice or water or whatever. And most of my favorite cups are broken. That's how I know they're my favorite cup. I'm rough on stuff. I'm like, everything I have has a very short lifespan. And so I have like a gallery of broken cups. And those are usually my favorite cups. And the last one, actually, so I got a new one of Jeff Campana was my last favorite. And I asked him for a new one, and he gave me this one, which is, I guess, pretty close to the one I had before. But it's not a 2-finger. Like, he's also got this version, which is more of like a 2-finger. Like, this one fits me better because I drink a lot of coffee, number one. And because it's a lot of coffee, I need more grip. So I need a 2-finger. I gotta have a 2-finger mug in the morning. But the thing that I appreciated, so basically what I told him is like, I love the finish on this one, but I need the bigger version. So I borrowed this one for demonstration purposes. But the thing I love about his cups, he's very thoughtful about form, and most of his work, his earlier work was these sort of very geometric cut apart vessels that were kind of glaze glued together, beautifully done, very sort of crossover between geometry and nature. And his stuff has that, all of his stuff has sort of a kind of connection between geometry and nature. This is definitely more geometric, and he's actually been using a 3D printer to print his molds. He makes his molds from 3D printed pieces. So he's now designing them in different programs, different software programs, and then printing them and making molds of them. And the cool thing about it is you can sort of see, I don't know if you can, let me see if I can find a spot, maybe a little bit right here. You can kind of see a little bit of even the print marks that happens in the process. And his work to me is kind of like, maybe an engineer or an architect got together with an artist and had a baby, this. So, there's a lot of things in industry that come out that are sort of real slick, real clean, very thoughtful in terms of form. You think of like a race car, like a Porsche or a Ferrari or something like that. It's sort of limited edition, very beautiful, very well thought out in terms of function and also visually. And I think this work really sort of speaks to that. It's got just great sort of visual effects and good function too. So he thinks very thoroughly about sort of like the way the handle is. It's sort of tilted in both directions and it fits nicely. It's got a sort of flat spot. It leans towards the top. So functionally, I really appreciate it, but aesthetically as well. And the other thing that I like about it is he's been, so his original glazes were really sort of very slick, kind of, I don't even know, celadons and stuff like that, very sort of glossy and translucent. And these are a little bit different in that he's doing these sort of atmospheric stuff on them. So it has these sort of almost industrial, or I don't even know how to word it, just sort of beautifully designed cups that are, the surface is sort of natural. So it's like the cup itself is in a way very industrial, but the finish on it is very natural. And I like the finish, he's been doing kind of the soda fired finish on it. And it's just real slick. I love the way
He's still putting those like highly polished on his feet.
Well, he's changed his feet. He's got his moniker on there. So he does that with a silhouette that cuts it out, and then he does washing back with a sponge or something like that to get that. But that's all it's still real clean. That's the other thing I really like about his work. It's always, even the foot is going to be real clean. It's got his mark on there. And even the handle sort of points back towards his original work in that it's almost like there's no solid seam. It's just sort of like touched on, like almost like it's glaze glued on. But yeah, very thoughtful just in terms of form and function. And also it's a little stingy, which I like as well, just because it sort of holds the heat in a little more. So I like the sort of stinginess of it and the thickness of it. It's a nice form. So that's my favorite right now. I'm going to get the larger version. Yeah, that's where I'm at with my coffee cup anyway.
I want to circle back to something you said earlier about a lot of your favorite cups are broken. And before we started recording this, we were talking about, broken cups. And do you keep your broken cups? Because I was saying I have a whole shelf of broken things because I don't want to throw them out. Yeah.
The other thing is like there's something like, even if the cup wasn't perfect in some way, there's something about it that I like or want to keep in my sort of gallery, my consciousness, or something that I might visit, my own cup, or something that I want to think about in terms of other cups. So yeah, I usually, lots of times I glue them back together. Like some of them, like this one is literally like glued back together. This is a Missy McCormick. And there's sort of a level of where I actually like glue it back together, and if it's good enough, I actually keep using it until it breaks again, and then I give up on it. There's a certain point when I'm like, okay, that's really broken this time, and then I'll stop using it. But I actually break the cup, use it, and then break it again, and then I'm like, okay, it's reached gallery point. I'm going to put it in now. So yeah, it's that to me, that because again I'm rough on stuff, and when I do cups or even any kind of work, I'm like, I'm hoping you break it. I'm kind of like, enjoy it. I hope you break it. Because that's, to me, is like the sort of greatest compliment. You've used it so much that inevitably at some point, the odds are that, somebody's going to bump it off the table, or something's going to happen. And, it just gives up over time. So I like the ones like I do. I have a couple cups that I just keep because of the form, because they were loved cups. They were the ones that were my favorite, and they broke to the point where I couldn't use them anymore.
Well, I think this dovetails nicely for Megan Sullivan to talk about her cup.
Yeah, well, but it's funny because when you were talking, I was like, oh my God, I'm so much about utility, because I realized, so today I went through my cabinets and I was like, okay, favorite. I have favorite cups, but then I have the cups that I use all the time, which I actually really like. But part of it is because I use this coffee. I only drink coffee when I'm at home. I drink coffee at home in the morning, and then I drink tea for the rest of the day, but like herbal tea. So anyway, so I have this coffee maker that's called an AeroPress, where you put it, it's like in a tube and you like extrude coffee into your cup. But because of that, you need to have a certain opening for your cup. And so I realized, because I'm drinking out of a Chandra cup right now, I realized that this cup, the top of it is too small for my AeroPress. So I used to use this all the time when I had a French press, and now I don't use it as often. So I'm kind of like, oh, this might be my favorite cup. But I have other cups that I like just as much because they hold more liquid, because I like to have a really big cup of coffee in the morning. So I have this cup that I went to grad school with Alex Knipe, and this is the cup I literally have been using every day for the last 5 years. This one and this Bill Wilkie cup, which I will get back
With the
to.
broken handle.
But I broke it yesterday.
Oh.
I was washing it yesterday, and I dropped it in my sink, and I was like, are you kidding me? But this cup, I think we traded for it. Like, I don't think Alex would care that I don't know if she even knows that I have this cup, because it was like so long ago. It's like over 10 years ago that I got this cup. But it had a really nice handle. It would fit nicely, but it also has the shape that I can kind of like cup with my hands. I have pretty big hands. And it also is big enough on the inside that I can get a lot of coffee in there. And so then last year, 2 years ago, I bought this Bill Wilkie cup on some website, I don't know which one. And it's a little big for my hand, but I've been starting to drink coffee in it more because it makes me more aware of, like, I really have to be careful with my hands. Like, this is the cup that I'm more worried about breaking, and then that's the one that I broke, because I feel like it's always a little precarious in the morning when I'm trying to like just keep a hand on it, because it's just a touch too big. But it has fits a lot of coffee, and it has a nice big opening to it, and I really love how he treats his surface, and I like the atmospheric firing. I think it's a really beautiful cup. So yeah, I don't know if I'll keep this one.
Show us
forever and
that
ever.
lip again on the Wilkie cup.
Oh, it's he beveled it.
Oh yeah, that's nice.
Yeah, I have another cup by him too, but I don't have it on my table right now, which I really like, which is one of his squared off cups that he like shaves down the sides. And I've always really liked that cup, but this one I've been using quite a bit, these two. I could still use this one, and just have a broken handle. That'll still work. So anyway, we'll see.
That's good for at least another year.
Yeah, I mean, but yeah.
Is the rest of the handle still alive? Oh,
Here.
you might be able to glue that back.
I put it in here yesterday.
Oh,
Yeah, it was such a bummer.
it is. I know. It really is. So thank
Jill.
you, Megan.
Oh,
Jill.
yeah.
This was really hard. I couldn't make up my mind about just one, and I'm pretty good about going through and getting rid of objects, because we have had several moves in the past 5 years, and I keep cutting back and cutting back. So, the conversation about a cup being or any of the ceramic objects that we have, they're like a stand and a proxy for the people who made them. So if for whatever reason I had a cup in my life that I like, it didn't bring me joy about the individual, because like if I don't want to sit down and have coffee with you, I don't want to drink out of your cup either. And so I've gotten it down to like, these are like really my favorite things, but I think I'm really a surface junkie. So I've like, this is a Josh DeWeese mug, and it's got to be like a coffee achiever mug. I've got to like have warm fuzzy feelings about the person who made it, and then also if it has line work, then that's like a hat trick for me. So I mean, he has this like, I love the handle. It's a really good fitting handle, but even the line work comes in here where he's laid this extra little porcelain slab strap on it, and he has a little strap that like tacks down. Can you see that?
Yeah, I like
Right
the little
there.
drips underneath it. Yep.
Yeah, and the way the glaze drips, and then it's got like his flourish that he made with his drawn lines that he has. But this one is like, right, I have some serious warnings coming because I've had it for so long. Like there's a seed crack that's gonna like give me my comeuppance at some point. But I love the color of it. It's just like, green and growing. It's like, it's a very joyous cup, and it holds a lot of coffee. It might be like 16 ounces. And this Naomi Clement mug, it's the same thing with like the line work and this handle. I rarely do I like a handle that comes up from the bottom. I don't know, they always, but hers, it has such tension and spring like a tree branch. And then she has all these great, right? The line where the slab came together, the heavy line that's going around the lip, these layers and depths that she gets in it. And then I bet it won't show up. Is it?
I can see a little bit the red liner.
Yeah, and there's
a circle.
There's like a line on the inside, and when you get down to the bottom of whatever you're drinking, it kind of gathers, like how glaze that pools, that breaks over high spots and pools and low spots. The residue of your cocoa or your tea or your coffee does that on the line too, so it'd been accentuated. I'm sure she didn't. That's just a happy accident. That the topography that's there. But I mean, look at like all the depth that's in that.
Yeah. Is she low fire or mid range?
I think it's mid range, but I can't, like, don't take me to court.
Okay. I'm just curious if you knew. I love her work a lot.
Just a little, this is like how much I couldn't make up my mind about things.
Wait, so Jill, when you get rid of cups, where do you get rid of them?
I give
You give them
She does give them away, yeah.
I mean, you don't like take them to Goodwill or?
No.
Okay.
No, but I do give, my niece has a pretty sweet collection of pottery at this point. Yeah. Yeah, it sounds mean, doesn't it sound mean?
No.
No, I can relate to that. I was thinking about that actually, that there are certain cups that I associate with people, either I was given them or the people who made them, who like maybe I'm not having such a good time with right now, and they get pushed to the back. And it's not because they're not nice forms. It's just like, I don't want to have coffee with you this morning.
Yeah. And sometimes there are cups that like I've been given and I just don't have like strong positive or negative feelings. I'm just like, I don't know you, cup. So then I can't, yeah. So that's good. It's what is that called? It's a personification, right?
Yeah.
So
I think that it goes nice with this next question is, do you associate your cup with a person or place? And tell me about that. Like, do you have cups that you have that remind you of a specific place and time and person? And just tell me about it. What is that like? Anybody?
I've got go ahead.
Go for it, Jill.
I can say these two I brought out, and this is, I know this is a commercial cup, but it's from my grandmother's wedding collection.
Oh wow.
Oh wow.
Right, and we have like the butter dish and the serving plates and the dessert plates, and my sister just pulled them out of storage a while ago, but I just love having it around. And it's not a coffee achiever mug, but it's definitely like having coffee with my grandma and takes me back to her lake house. And then my mother-in-law made this cup, and honestly, she doesn't have social media, so she'll never see this, but it's not like, you really better pay attention when you're drinking out of this cup. But again, like me being a sucker for lime, look at all of that craziness. I just love it feels like I'm standing in a canyon when I'm drinking out of it. And it's like really ill-behaved, just like she is. So yeah.
Now, is that hand built with little strips? Is that what?
Oh yeah. She like had a mold she was playing with, and like she just press molded, and then it was a slab, and she wrapped it up, and I think she probably like slapped this out and then just stuck it on with a little,
Yeah, that's cool.
But I do like that.
I like the bottom. Show me that bottom again.
It just is.
Wow. Yeah, that's nice.
So it's so visceral. You know, it's just, I think if you love clay, you would have to appreciate this mug like you appreciate a dirty kindergartner, you know?
I'm only laughing because I know your mother-in-law.
Yeah.
I feel like I do now too.
Yeah. Does somebody else want to talk about that?
I was just going to say that, so when I was looking at the mugs that I actually did pull out, like I have, like each mug is like a different, not a different decade, but like parts of my life. Like this is from when I was in Boston. This is my friend Ruchika Madden, or Madan, sorry. And like we're really good friends still. And so it's like an old cup that I got in like 2004. And then I have a cup.
Hold it up close to the screen.
It has rats.
Oh my gosh.
It's so cute.
I have a couple of mugs, a couple of cups by her, and she's, you know, really, her imagery is really great. But then I have like, so I bought this more recently, but I knew Chandra from Florida, and so this is like my like 2007, 2008 decade, and then I got this in grad school, which was a little bit later, and then I got this from the Gulf Coast Cup Show. So this is Seth Charles, and like I had no money because, you know, I was teaching adjunct, but like I was like, I really like this cup, you know, it's really wood fired, it has like, it's like the handle to me is really nice and pleasing, and like it's a one finger, but it's a small enough cup that that's okay. And then I bought this, and this is like a cup I bought online now that I have a job, you know, and like health insurance. And so, you know, I just realized that when I was looking around, and like pretty much most of the cups I have like associations, you know, like I don't usually just buy a mug, you know, I like I trade, or I buy it from somebody I like, or, you know, yeah, everything I have, I'm like, oh yeah, this is from when I did that, you know, so.
So they do become like stories, and relationships, and it reminds you of a time and a space.
Yeah. When people come over, well, when people used to be able to come over to places, like to my house, people always were like, wow, you have so many different types of mugs. And I can't imagine living any other way, you know, like not having all different people's work in your house, you know, like no, all my friends are just like, I bought them at Target. They have no story, you know, whatever. It's kind of sad.
Yeah, well, I mean, I think that's the great thing about being an artist and having lots of friends or making those trades. And then, you know, it is a little like token of a time and a space. I think it's very lovely. Not everybody has that in their profession, right? So
yeah,
I think it's a nice thing about being an artist and being a ceramic artist. Keith, do you have? Oh, ask to unmute. Hey, Keith, you're muted. Oh, how do I ask him to unmute?
There we go.
There we go. Okay.
Sorry. Yeah. So I was just thinking, it's funny because I looked at the cups that I'm like, I don't know that person. And I realized that the ones that I don't know the person were given to me by somebody that was significant. You know what I mean? Like, I'm like, they're not like I bought them at something. You know, sometimes I might buy something, say somebody has a workshop or something like that. But usually I've connected with the person in the workshop, or I feel like I know them to some extent. And I, you know, in addition to loving their work, I'm like, this is a cool person. I'm getting one of their mugs, you know? So yeah, ironically, even the ones that I think about that are like, you know, kind of commercial or something that, you know, I didn't actually get myself, somebody that I knew got it for me. Mm-hmm. So yeah, I would say all the stuff that I drink out of has some personal connection, whether I know the person or whether it was given to me by somebody that I know. So yeah, a lot of them, you know, this is what I was just drinking out of because I was drinking scotch. This is Matt Long, Strong Long.
Yeah, I got one of those.
Yeah, those are, you know, so sweet. I love his attention to detail, the swirl, the traditional Matt Long swirl, and the sort of, you know, organic, you know, kind of laziness and movement in the cup. Beautiful work and good person, beautiful person. So, you know, I'll drink with him anytime.
We all have our Matt Long. Cheers to Matt Long.
So yeah, they all, you know, even the ones in my broken collection, I usually know the person. This was Jim Connell, and I just love his, you know, he's the one that does all the sort of really nice fluted pieces. And again, just a wonderful person. I don't know him personally that well, but every time I've seen him, he's just been just a sweetheart of a guy, just really nice. Always chats, always says hi, and he did a wonderful workshop, and I got that from the workshop years ago. I got to get another one because this is actually one that I broke out. This one I broke twice. So the handle broke, and then I glued it again. You know, if you get close, you can see it's actually like, this one probably won't
Oh,
hold.
I can see it. Yeah.
It's time to retire. But yeah, all of them are probably ones that I either know the person or, you know, the person who gave it to me was significant.
Magda?
Well, I think I talked a lot about like location. One of the reasons that I love this cup is because it makes me think about like my favorite places up here where I live now. This cup that I ran to go get as I was thinking about this reminds me, it fits into two of your question categories, and one is that it makes me laugh, and the other is that it reminds me of Aramont. It's a McLean Walsh cup. Like I was thinking about how Megan was talking about timeline and like times in your life when you maybe didn't have a lot of money and you think differently about purchasing things. And this was definitely, I didn't have enough money to buy this cup. Like it was a guilty purchase. I was a resident at Aramont while this was in a show. I think probably McLean Walsh was teaching a workshop there. And I just walked past this every day and I was like, there's no way, like I have so many other things I need to spend this money on, but I need this cup. And I've never regretted it. Like I still have it now, you know, that was 2008. And it is uncomfortable. Like it is the most uncomfortable cup in so many ways. It's so weird. The way the little guy looks at you, like with those splayed eyes, you know, like you can't make eye contact with it. And the handle is really uncomfortable. You have to kind of stick only the first parts of your fingers in it to hold it. But there are certain days where I wake up and I'm just feeling like just in a weird off mood. And this is the cup that I go for, like more often than I thought I would. So this is my weird and Aramont cup.
Do you drink with it like this, like looking at it? You put the face to your face?
Yeah, sometimes I do. Sometimes we like look at each other and I'm like, yeah, that is how I feel today.
Yeah, I love her work. Obviously I would, right? Because it's
I
kind
know.
of a little bit sinister and a little bit, you know, kooky wonky, all the things that I embrace. So I love her work. Okay, well that brings us to the next question about, do you have a cup that makes you laugh or cry, and why? I think, you know, we've talked about maybe breaking cups and why we might cry about them being broken. But do you guys have a cup that makes you laugh or cry?
Well, I've got one of them here that makes me smile.
Okay.
It's Mariko Patterson.
Yeah, I love her.
And I think I have 3 Mariko cups, but when I saw this Our Lady of Guadalupe go up on Instagram, I DM'd her right away and I was like, I'm gonna have that. And she does them occasionally, like it has, you know, it's just so, Mariko just goes crazy with surfaces. And it's like she's this master of collage. So there's always something there, even on like the inside lip, this little zoop zoop. And I love, Magda, that you were talking about, like, I feel like technically, right, that's like, I could drive a semi through that thing. But I don't even care. I use this, the Josh DeWeese, Naomi Clement, and Mariko are like in highest rotation in my life. And it's all because of like the surface. And this one makes me smile every time.
Yeah, I think, Jill, I was introduced to her at your house because I noticed you had, I don't know if I drank out of that very same cup or a cup of hers. And I was like, who is this? And I was like, I want, you know, now I follow her on Instagram. I just love her stuff. It's always so visually alluring, you know, and she's not afraid to take risks. She talks about everything, you know, there's uteri, would it be like on her cup? I mean, they're just so great.
Oh yeah, she's doing like masks, and she has the female reproductive organ, like tampons. It's like all of our world is going to be processed through the surface of a Mariko Patterson mug.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Pretty fabulous. Megan, I saw you run away. Did you go get a cup?
I did, but it's so my friends who live near me, Craig Clifford and Debbie Kapinski. So Craig casts mugs or casts everything. He's a slip caster. And he realized that if you take a styrofoam cup and then you draw on it, that you can slip cast it and then you can make the same thing over and over. So this is by their daughter, Hannah.
Oh,
And I've known her now for 5 years and she's 9. So I knew her when she was 4. So this was made when she was maybe like 5 or 6. And so this cup, I don't use it very often. It's super thin. It's like, I'm worried I'd break it, and it's like, for wine, but it does make me laugh. And then I also have an Ashley Bevington cup that I was at Watershed with her before she was doing these cups. And so then I follow her. And so I've always liked like the cartoony aspect of her work, and that both dogs are crying.
oh, there's 2. Oh,
There's 2, yeah.
And Megan, what is it like to drink out of that?
Well, it's okay. I mean, it's big. So like, I guess you drink, I don't drink juice. So I guess you drink water or beer or whatever out of it. But it's kind of more of like a conversation piece cup for me, but I have drank out of it. It's it's more just for
It's
fun.
funny the way you're like, it's funny. I didn't mean to make you stammer, because I totally have cups that I love that make you pay attention when you're like using them. And I'm totally okay with that.
Yeah. And I think, it's a cup that whenever I have people over, like, I don't think people pick it out because I think they're worried that they'll break it. Because it does seem, it's like at that edge of like sculptural and cup. So, but yeah, it's a real fun cup. So.
So we're talking about really utility, right? So I have a question about, are you a lip, handle, or foot type of person? So, what draws you to a cup? Do you like, how it feels in your hand? Do you like how it feels on your lip? Do you like, when you have something, do you like to hold it in your hand? What type of person are you?
Getting a little personal there. Yeah.
I thought it'd be a good question to ask you. We all know each other.
Yes. Well, I guess we can talk.
We lived together for 2 weeks. I mean, some of us more.
That's true.
I'll start. And actually, I'm going to go back a second to the last question as well.
Oh, I'm sorry, Keith.
Been crying. I'm gonna go ahead and pour my heart out. I had a Matt Repshirt cup. I don't know if you're familiar with his work or not, and I would love to show it, but it actually was a disappearance cup. I didn't break it. It just disappeared. Like, maybe set it on top of the car and drove away, or maybe I'm still hoping, but I've been hoping. I've actually broken down and ordered another. I got another one, but I loved his work. And the reason that I liked it, he had sort of a barrel handle on it. It was perfect for 2 fingers, and it was like a flat top with a barrel handle on it, and just balanced well. Very nice work all around. So I'm still crying about that, but I will say that it was the handle that really made it for me. The aesthetics as well. He has sort of this sort of negative space carved into the bottom of his pieces, which is his sort of signature thing, which it's hard to get, piercings or negative space into any kind of cup and have it still function. So I really appreciated his aesthetics and the bottom of his cup. So I will say I like the foot or the bottom. I like a nicely shaped, nice, very clean, thoughtful bottom. I'm all about it. So. All my cups have a tendency to sort of be all the way around, thought out, the bottom, hopefully the handle. The lips I find are important, but most ceramists that I know, that's sort of not an issue. Like almost any cup that I would choose, all the lips are pretty much equal. I have 1 or 2 that I've made that have been bad cups that I noticed that the lip is too big, but other than that, they all seem to be equal. So I'm more of, I guess, a handle, foot, and of course the aesthetic for me is a big concern. like that.
Keith, I always worry when I have disappearing cups in my house that a child may have broken it and threw it in the garbage. Do you think?
I'm not gonna point any fingers. But the last time I remember, like I went on vacation, I came back, and I'm like, "Where's that cup? Gone." The only one that was here was Yaya. Okay, now I'm not gonna point any fingers because I don't think Yaya would have lost it. I don't even think she would have messed with it. It's more likely that I set it somewhere, and I'm just hoping it's got to be like, it's on some weird spot, laundry room shelf, or in the attic, or it's going to show up eventually someday. I'm going to be like,
Like, if you ever move from your house and you have to clean everything out, you'll find it.
Behind the couch. I have a funny story really quickly about that. The other day I came downstairs and I was making tea in the morning, and I looked at the sugar container and there was no top on it. And it's ceramic, but the top is missing. There's just a hole. And I'm asking my kids, I'm like, does anybody know what happened to the, somebody put it back on to the sugar dish, but now it has no top. But it disappeared. So if you find my sugar top somewhere with your cup, that would be really awesome. I was just like, but nobody knows. It's the ghost of the Marinuzzi Roman household. It came down and took it away. Yes, Jill. Oh, no. Jill's like, no. Okay.
I will say I actually was that kid that broke the cup, and that's where I learned to glue. That's where I got my glue on. My mom never even knew. It would be like years later it would break, and she'd be like, "Oh, my cup broke," and I'm like, "Maybe I can fix that for you." Again.
So, Meg's handle, lip, foot.
Well, I agree with, when you were saying, Keith, that like the lips are really going to be fine. Like if, most people, I was like, yeah, that's right. But like, I can't remember any time that like a professional person was making a cup and the lip wasn't very good, but if the handle doesn't feel right, then it really bums me out. So it's mostly, and for me, like I have pretty big hands. So it's like, the handle has to be big enough. Like I had a friend who will not be named makes beautiful cups, but she has way smaller hands than me. And so for the longest time, her mugs, it was like you could only get like one finger in there barely, and it was like so unsatisfying. So yeah, so I think I'm a handle lady.
All right.
There we go.
Jill? What about you, Jill?
Well, I think I said it in the beginning. I'm like a surface. I'll forgive any sin for a good surface, Yeah, but I'm straight up not like, I did not come through a heavy functional journey, So I didn't have these things about function. Like I just didn't go through that kind of rigor. So yeah, I'm a sucker for a good surface.
I'm with you there, girl. I like surface. I like surface decoration. So I understand that. Magda.
I'm a body person. I was thinking about that while you were asking it, and it depends on like what kind of morning I want to have. And I had to run in and pull Ryan's favorite cup so that you can see what I'm up against. So this is a Ben Rotai cup, and he loves it because he has really big hands and he really loves coffee. And so if I want a chance at getting any of the coffee out of the French press, I need to like pick a cup that can match this one so I can really like pour down. But sometimes I want like, if I make a second press and I want like a slower morning, I really like refilling my cups a lot so that I feel like I'm drinking more coffee than I actually am. And this is my favorite for that. Ooh, it's got a lot of glare. It's a Brian Hopkins. And I love it because it's porcelain and I have to slow down, and like this feels so delicate, that little tiny edge of handle. And some of it is glazed, but it also has like speckles on it, and then this part has like a wood texture to it. So I love touching it and like refilling it because it's a smaller cup. So it's like depends on what kind of day it's gonna be.
Magda, I have a question about that cup because we just got a Ted Sape cup, which again, it's like a bunch of surface and these amazing little line drawings on it, but it's porcelain, thin porcelain, like Brian's work is. And it's so hot. Like I can't drink my coffee out of it because it's so warm. Like do you find or does Brian's handle give you enough room that you can like get away?
You know,
You
I'm thinking of that now. That's interesting that you say that. Yeah, his is sort of like one of those that you're really far enough away, and it is really thin porcelain, so the heat does come through it. This isn't one that I could just grab around like that, and it's not one that I go for if I want to hold a cup like that to get the heat from it. Yeah, that's interesting that you brought that up. Like I don't think I would have consciously thought of that before, but because he solved that with the handle.
Yeah, I wouldn't have and that, I guess that's one sin Surface doesn't forgive for me, because I've actually passed Ted, and I love Ted, like, so, but I couldn't get to my coffee like fast enough, so I passed it along. It was too, because my hand was like right up against it, and I would have to wait, I don't know, like 5 or 7 minutes before the coffee was cool enough for me to be able to handle the cup. And I
That
was
is
like,
unacceptable.
unacceptable. I cannot wait that long. I gotta like get in there.
I'm impressed with your ruthlessness, like that you can just discern like whether or not it's in or out. Like I can do that with most other things in the house, but not things that other people made. I'm like, oh well, I'll just like this will go to my office. So like some of the cups migrate.
Well, it does. I mean, they may hang around for a couple of years, but when the day comes, like it's pretty much a warehousing day, a clear housing day when it happens. But they can linger around for a while before. It's not like every day. Like you're in, you're out. You're in, you're out.
I think it's funny because I don't drink warm coffee or tea, so I have like the opposite thing. Like my functionality is if it can fit in my car while I'm driving my kids in the morning, right? So it has to be able to fit into the cup well in the car, right? And it doesn't matter if it has a handle on it or not, because it needs to fit in that well, or I don't get my coffee or my tea, right? So I drink cold tea, which I love. Probably because I live in the South where it's really warm most of the year. So I'm all about like really, really cold tea. And if it can't fit in my car, you know, it can't be something like this. Like I have this Linda Arbuckle, really nice cup with this really fancy handle. And I love her and I love her work. However, it doesn't fit. And Pearl comes, my 15-year-old daughter comes into the car, 14-year-old daughter, and she wants to put her cup in there as well, right? So I can't have 2 cups with a handle or I'm going to break it. So I always have to have like, this is Matt Long's cup and I use it for tea in the morning because it fits into, you know, the well of the car. And so I always think about, that's how I figure out my functionality, is if it can be on the go with me, right? Because I'm usually not sitting around anywhere for too long. For those of you that know me, you know that to be true. So if it can't come with me and function in most of those situations, then I can't have it with me. So, well, guys, I think we're at almost an hour of this conversation. So I think I'm gonna say thank you at this point. Does anybody want to talk about anything else before we break? No? Well, thank you. You're good. Well, thank you guys for talking with me this afternoon, and I look forward to our next conversation. So thanks for coming today.
It was good seeing you all.
Bye.
Happy Play Week, everybody.